The fight for scraps. The space station was almost dead, its halls cold and empty. Lights flickered weakly like they were too tired to shine. The smell of rust and old smoke floated in the air. Here, in this forgotten place, survival was cruel. An alien girl with torn clothes moved quietly through the shadows. Her thin arm shook as she searched a pile of trash. She had not eaten for days. Her stomach growled like an angry animal, but there was no food left. She pushed aside broken metal, dirty cloth, and burned plastic. Finally, she found something. Half of bread, hard and dry, almost rotten. Her eyes lit up. For her, this was a treasure. But before she could take a bite, a growl echoed in the corridor. Her head turned fast. Out of the darkness came a dog, thin like her but wild. Its yellow eyes burned with hunger and its sharp teeth glistened. It had been living here too, feeding on scraps, fighting anyone who stood in its way. The alien girl froze for a moment. Her body was weak, but she would not give up the food. She clutched the bread tight and hissed, showing small, sharp teeth of her own. The dog barked and leaped at her. She screamed and fought back. The bread dropped on the floor. She scratched the dog's face, but its claws slashed her arm. Blood spilled, staining the cold floor. Pain cut through her body, but she refused to run. She grabbed a metal pipe from the trash and swung it hard. The sound of metal hitting bone echoed. The dog yelped, but it didn't stop. It jumped again, its jaws snapping close to her throat. She fell backward, heart racing. The pipe rolled away. The dog pinned her down, growling, ready to bite. She struggled, kicking, scratching, trying anything to stay alive. Her arm bled more, her vision blurred. She thought, this is it. I will die fighting for a piece of bread. But then heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. A shadow appeared. A tall figure stepped into the flickering light. A human. The human's face was hard, his jaw tight. His clothes were simple, dirty boots, a rough jacket, and a small pack on his back. Without a word, he moved fast. His boot hit the dog's side, sending it flying off the girl. The dog whimpered and ran into the dark, its tail low. The alien girl gasped for breath. She stared at the human with wide, fearful eyes. She expected him to take the bread, maybe even kill her. That was how survival worked here. But the man didn't touch the bread. Instead, he crouched beside her. Her arm was bleeding badly. She tried to pull away, thinking he would hurt her more. But the man shook his head slowly. His eyes were calm but serious. "Stay still," he said in a low voice. She didn't understand his words fully, but his tone was clear. She froze, breathing hard. The man reached into his pack and pulled out a small roll of cloth. He tore it quickly and pressed it against her wound. She hissed in pain, but he didn't let go. He wrapped the cloth tightly around her arm to stop the bleeding. The alien girl was too weak to fight him. Her body trembled, her lips dry. She whispered in her own tongue, words of confusion and fear. Why would a human help her? The man didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pack again and pulled out something that made her eyes widen. A small metal box. He opened it and the smell hit her first, warm, real food. Inside was cooked rice and meat. Steam still rose from it. Her mouth watered instantly. She had not smelled such food in weeks, but she didn't reach for it. Her eyes narrowed. Was this a trick? Humans never gave without taking. The man held the box closer to her, his hand steady. His eyes told her something. He was not here to hurt her. Her stomach roared loudly, betraying her. She shook, torn between hunger and fear. Finally, she took a small bite, expecting poison, expecting pain, but instead flavor filled her mouth. Warmth spread through her body. Tears welled in her eyes. The human stayed quiet, watching her eat. He didn't move to take the food back. He didn't threaten her. He just sat there, like he had all the time in the world. The alien girl's heart beat fast. Who was this man? Why would he waste precious food on her, a stranger, an outcast? As she chewed slowly, her mind raced with questions. She wanted to ask, but she was too weak. Her body leaned against the cold wall. Her bleeding arm wrapped. Her stomach slowly filling with real food. For the first time in many nights, she felt a strange thing, safety. But deep inside, fear still whispered. What did this human want in return? The corridor grew quiet again. Only the sound of her chewing and the flicker of broken lights. The man sat still, his eyes scanning the shadows like he was guarding her. The alien girl closed her eyes for a moment. She didn't know if she had just found a savior, or walked into a new trap. The bandage and the meal. The alien girl sat against the wall, her wounded arm wrapped with cloth that smelled faintly of herbs. The human had done it quickly, his hands rough but careful. She still stared at him with wide eyes, unsure whether to trust him. In her world, kindness was rare. On this broken station, kindness was almost impossible. The man said nothing at first. He simply opened the small metal box again and placed it near her. The smell of warm food spread in the cold corridor. Rice, meat, and something seasoned with spices. The girl's throat tightened. She had not tasted real food in so long that she had forgotten the feeling. Her hands trembled as she reached for it, but then she stopped. Suspicion filled her mind. Why give her food? Why waste bandages on her? What could he possibly want? Her people always taught her, nothing was free, especially from humans. She looked up at him. His face was not soft or smiling. It was serious, even a little stern. His eyes were sharp like someone who had seen too much. But they were not cruel. They were steady, almost protective. The girl hesitated. She lifted the box slowly and sniffed. The steam warmed her nose. Her stomach growled so loud she felt embarrassed. The human only raised one eyebrow like he was telling her, "Eat. I don't care how hungry you look. Just eat." Finally, she took a bite. The taste exploded on her tongue. It was soft, warm, and rich. She gasped, unable to stop the tears in her eyes. Her throat burned as she swallowed, not from pain, but from sudden emotion. For weeks she had fought beasts for scraps. Now here she was, eating food meant for the living, not for the dying. The man leaned back against the wall, arms crossed. He spoke again in his low voice, words she barely understood. But the tone was enough. He wasn't mocking her. He wasn't demanding payment. He was simply telling her, "You are safe. For now." She ate slowly at first, then faster until the box was half empty. She stopped suddenly, pushing it back toward him. He frowned. "You need it more than I do," she whispered in broken human speech. Her voice was hoarse. The man shook his head. He pushed the box back into her hands. "Finish it," he said firmly, her chest tightened. She wanted to believe him, but deep inside, fear still whispered. When the food is gone, he will take something else. That's how it always is. Still, her body won the fight. She ate until she couldn't anymore. Warmth spread through her stomach, reaching her bones. Her body, always cold, now felt alive again. The human stood up slowly and looked around the corridor. His eyes scanned every shadow. He was listening for something, danger, patrols, scavengers. The girl watched him, confused. Why was he guarding her? When he returned, he sat down again, pulling another strip of cloth from his pack. He checked her arm carefully. His touch was firm but not rough. He cleaned the wound with a small bottle of liquid. It stung so much that she hissed and pulled back. But he held her arm steady, his eyes meeting hers, telling her silently, "Be strong. This is needed." She bit her lip and let him finish. When he tied the fresh bandage, she whispered in her own tongue, a soft, "Thank you." He didn't seem to understand the words, but he nodded like he felt their meaning. For the first time, she allowed herself to study him. His hair was dark, cut short. His face carried lines of exhaustion as if sleep rarely came to him. His hands had scars, small, old, healed from many battles. This was not a rich man or a soldier of power. He looked like someone who worked with his hands, someone who carried burdens alone. The girl tilted her head, whispering, "Why?" The human looked at her for a long time before answering. His voice was low. "Because I've seen too many die," he said. She did not understand every word, but she caught enough. Die. Her heart skipped. Did he lose others before? Did he save others too? She wanted to ask more, but her body was too weak. Her eyes grew heavy. The food filled her belly. The bandages slowed her bleeding, and exhaustion crashed over her like a wave. She fought to stay awake, afraid he would disappear if she closed her eyes. But the human only shifted his position, sitting close to the entrance of the corridor. He leaned against the wall, his hand resting on something hidden under his jacket, a weapon maybe. His eyes scanned the darkness like a silent guard. The alien girl finally let herself rest. Her head tilted to the side, her breathing slowed, and sleep claimed her. As she drifted off, a strange thought touched her mind. For so long she had been nothing but prey, chased, beaten, hungry, alone. Yet now, for the first time in forever, she was being protected. But protection always had a price. And in this galaxy, prices were cruel. She didn't know yet if this human was her savior, or just another master waiting for his turn. A fragile trust. The alien girl woke slowly, her head heavy, her body sore. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then the sharp sting in her arm reminded her of the fight with the dog. She opened her eyes. The human was still there. He sat near the entrance of the corridor, back against the wall, eyes half closed but alert. One hand rested near his pack, the other close to something hidden at his side. Even in rest, he looked ready for danger. The girl shifted weakly. The cloth around her arm was stained with blood, but it held firm. The human noticed her movement. He opened his eyes, sharp and awake in a second. Their gazes met. She froze. He didn't speak. He only reached into his pack and pulled out a small bottle of water. He held it out to her. Her throat was dry, her lips cracked. She wanted it badly, but suspicion lingered. She hesitated. The human didn't push her. He simply placed the bottle on the ground, sliding it toward her. Then he leaned back again, showing no rush. After a long pause, she picked it up. The cool liquid touched her tongue, and she nearly cried. She drank greedily until it was gone. The human finally spoke, his voice steady. "Better?" She didn't understand all the words, but the tone was clear. She nodded slowly. For the first time, silence between them didn't feel heavy. It felt calm. But the calm broke quickly when the girl's stomach twisted. She clutched her side, ashamed. She had eaten more than her body could handle after starving for so long. A soft groan escaped her lips. The human frowned, moved closer, and knelt. He opened a small pouch with dried herbs and something like powder. He mixed it in a cup with water. The smell was bitter. He pushed it toward her. She sniffed it and recoiled. What if it was poison? The man met her eyes firmly. He placed the cup to his lips, drank a sip himself, then gave it back. Her chest tightened. Slowly, she accepted it. She sipped. The taste was terrible, but warmth spread in her belly, easing the pain. She stared at him. Why go this far? Finally, her voice cracked the silence. Why, help me? Her human words were broken, but clear enough. The man looked at her for a long moment. His jaw tightened. Then he answered, "Gilo, because no one else will." The girl blinked. She wanted to argue, but her throat closed. He was right. No one else ever had. Not her people. Not strangers. Not even her kin when she was cast out. She had always been alone, her eyes burned. She looked away, ashamed of her tears. The man didn't press her. He only checked her bandage again, tightening it. His touch was careful. He moved like someone used to fixing wounds, maybe his own, maybe others. The girl whispered something in her own tongue, words of doubt, of fear. If I trust him, will it kill me later? She dared a glance at him. His eyes scanned the dark corridor again, watchful, guarding. For some reason, that made her chest feel heavy. Still, trust did not come easily. She pushed the empty food box back toward him. "No more," she said softly. "Enough, I not want debt." His brow furrowed. He pushed it back to her. "You owe me nothing." She shook her head stubbornly. "Always. Cost." The human sighed, running a hand through his hair. He didn't argue further. But the way he sat there, refusing to leave her side, told her more than his words. Hours passed. The broken station groaned, metal shifting somewhere in the distance. Strange sounds echoed, scavenger beasts, maybe patrols. Each noise made her flinch. But every time the human's hand moved to his hidden weapon, steady and ready. When she looked at him again, something inside her shifted. This man was not acting like a captor. He was acting like a shield. Her mind screamed not to trust. But her heart, starved for care as much as her body had been for food, whispered otherwise. Finally, she spoke again. "Name, you?" The man paused, then answered, "Daniel." The word sounded strange on her tongue when she repeated it. "Daniel," he gave a small nod. "And you?" Her lips trembled. She had not spoken her name in so long. Whispering it felt dangerous, like giving away her last secret. But something in his gaze told her it was safe. "Lyra," she whispered at last. Daniel nodded once more. No smile, no reaction, just quiet acceptance. But for her, that was enough. In the silence that followed, Lyra realized something terrifying. For the first time in years, maybe in her whole life, she didn't feel completely alone. But trust was fragile, like thin glass. And in this ruined station, glass broke easily. The past revealed, the station was quiet that night, too quiet. Only the hum of dying machines and the occasional hiss of leaking pipes broke the silence. Daniel sat near the wall, his eyes sharp, always watching the shadows. Beside him, Lyra lay with her knees pulled close to her chest. Sleep did not come easily to her, even after food and bandages. She kept glancing at Daniel. His face was calm, but his eyes were stormy. She wondered what he was thinking and why he stayed. Finally, she broke the silence. Her voice was low, shaky. "Why here? Why? You stay?" Daniel's eyes shifted to her, then back to the dark corridor. For a long time, he didn't answer. When he finally spoke, his words were slow, like he was pulling them from a painful place. "I've seen too many left behind," he said. Lyra tilted her head, confused. She didn't understand every word, but she caught enough. Left behind. Her chest tightened. She knew those words too well. For a moment, she stayed quiet. Then something inside her cracked. She wanted to tell him, to share the weight she carried. But it was dangerous. Words could be used as chains. Still, she whispered, "My people left me." Daniel turned his head toward her. His eyes narrowed slightly, not with anger at her, but with something else. Pity, maybe understanding. He didn't interrupt. He waited. Lyra swallowed hard. Her voice trembled as the memory spilled out. "My colony, small, poor. Raiders came. Fire, smoke. I was young, I ran. But when I returned, nothing. Ashes, bodies, my mother, father, gone. Only ruins." Her throat tightened, but she forced the words. "I was found by kin. For a short time, they took me. But I was weak. No food, no skills. I slowed them, so..." Her eyes filled with tears. "They cast me out. Said I bring death." Daniel's jaw clenched. He stayed silent, but his hands curled into fists. Lyra continued, voice breaking. "After that, I hide. Fought dogs, rats, anything for food. Days, weeks. I don't know time anymore." Her hand brushed her bandaged arm. "Every fight. I thought it was last." The corridor seemed heavier now, filled with her broken past. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Daniel's voice cut through. "You survived." She blinked at him, confused. "You were cast out. You had nothing. Yet you are here, alive." His eyes were sharp, steady. That means something. Her lips parted, but no sound came. No one had ever said that to her. Her people had called her a curse. She had called herself weak. But this human, he called her a survivor. Tears rolled down her cheeks, hot against her cold skin. She quickly wiped them away, ashamed. "Why, you say this? Why care?" Daniel leaned his head back against the wall. His gaze turned distant, like he was staring at ghosts only he could see. "Because once I was left behind too," he said softly. Lyra's breath caught. She stared at him, waiting. Daniel spoke slowly, voice heavy. "War. My unit was attacked, ambush, many died. Command pulled out. Left us there. Said rescue impossible. But I lived. I saw friends bleed out in the dirt. I heard their screams. No one came." His eyes darkened. "When I crawled out, I swore. If I saw anyone abandoned again, I wouldn't turn away." The silence that followed was thick with pain and truth. Lyra's heart pounded. She saw him differently now. Not just a stranger with food. Not just a human with bandages. He was someone who carried scars too deep to see. She whispered, "So, you saved me. Because you know?" Daniel nodded once. "Because I refused to watch another life end alone." Her chest ached. For so long she believed she was cursed, unwanted, nothing but trash. But this man, this human, looked at her and saw worth. The fragile wall inside her cracked further. She whispered her thanks, voice breaking. "Thank you, Daniel." For the first time his face softened. Not a full smile, but the edge of one, a warmth in his eyes. The two sat in silence after that. But it was not the heavy silence of strangers. It was different, like two broken souls finding each other in the ruins. Still, trust was fragile. Lyra's heart whispered hope, but her mind warned caution. The galaxy was cruel, and kindness often came with hidden blades. Yet, as she leaned against the wall, her eyes heavy with exhaustion, she allowed herself to feel something dangerous, safety. For the first time in years, she did not fall asleep afraid. But danger was never far. In the darkness beyond the corridor, metallic footsteps echoed faintly, growing closer. Shadows moved like hunters, and the fragile bond they had just built was about to be tested. The unexpected danger. The faint sound of footsteps echoed through the dead station. Metallic, steady, not the uneven sound of beasts or scavenger dogs. These were trained steps, patrols. Daniel's eyes snapped open. He pressed a finger to his lips, signaling silence. Lyra froze, her breath caught in her throat. Her body trembled. She knew those steps. She had heard them before, the sound of the station guards, the hunters of the unwanted. Daniel grabbed his pack and motioned for her to move. Quiet, slow, but her wounded arm made every movement painful. She winced as she tried to stand. He caught her before she fell, his hand firm on her shoulder. His eyes said, "I won't let you fall." The footsteps grew louder. Voices followed, harsh and sharp, speaking in a language Lyra knew too well. They were searching for her. Her heart raced. "They kill me," she whispered, eyes wide with fear. "Unregistered outlaw." "Kill," Daniel didn't answer. He only pulled her gently behind a pile of broken crates. The flickering lights cast long shadows, but shadows were their only shield. The patrol entered the corridor, 3 aliens in black armor, carrying long rifles that glowed with faint energy. Their eyes scanned the area like predators. Daniel crouched low, pressing Lyra down beside him. She held her breath, her body shaking so hard she feared the noise would give them away. One guard kicked at the trash pile, growling. Scavengers were here, fresh. Another pointed toward the bloodstain on the floor from Lyra's fight with the dog. His voice was sharp. "Injured close," Lyra's chest tightened. Her blood was a trail. They would find her. Daniel's hand brushed her arm. His eyes locked with hers, calm, steady, fearless. His message was clear. "Trust me." The guards spread out. One came dangerously close to the crates where they hid. His boots clanged softly on the floor. The glow of his rifle passed just inches from Lyra's face. She bit her lip until it bled, praying he would not see. Daniel's hand slowly reached into his jacket. He pulled out a small weapon, old but well kept. Not a rifle, but a handgun with a faint blue glow. His finger rested on the trigger, ready. The guard paused, sniffing the air like a wolf. He leaned closer, almost close enough to see. Lyra's body tensed. If he looked just 1 inch more, they were dead. Then a noise echoed from deeper in the station. Metal crashing to the ground. The guard turned sharply. "Over there," he barked, running toward the sound. The other 2 followed quickly. Their heavy steps faded into the distance. Silence returned. Lyra collapsed against the crate, gasping for air. Her whole body shook. Tears ran down her cheeks. They find me one day," she whispered, voice breaking. "Always find me." Daniel holstered his weapon and crouched beside her. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with quiet fire. "Not while I'm here," he said firmly. She looked at him, heart racing. Did he mean it? Could anyone really stand against the patrols? Daniel lifted his pack and pulled out a thin blanket. He wrapped it around her trembling shoulders. "You're not dying tonight," he said, his tone like a promise. Lyra clutched the blanket tightly. It was warm, carrying his scent, dust, metal, and something faintly earthy. She buried her face in it, trying to hide her tears. But her mind replayed the sight of those rifles, the voices calling her outlaw. She had lived in fear for so long that safety felt like a dream. Daniel leaned against the wall, eyes scanning the shadows again. "We move at dawn," he said softly. Her eyes widened. "Move where?" He looked at her seriously. "Somewhere safer than this." She shook her head quickly. "No safe, nowhere. Always hunt. Always kill." He met her gaze, unwavering. "Then we'll make safe." His words struck her like a hammer. Make safe. Could a human truly fight back against the patrols? Against a whole system that wanted her erased? She wanted to believe. Her heart begged to believe. But fear chained her. That night she did not sleep. She listened to Daniel's steady breathing. The way his head tilted every time the station groaned. The way his hand never strayed far from his weapon. He was a man living on the edge, always ready to fight, yet calm enough to protect her. For the first time, Lyra thought, Maybe I don't have to run forever. But outside their fragile hiding place, the patrol was not gone. They were circling, searching, hunting. The sound of their boots faded for now, but they would be back. And when they returned, they would not be so easy to escape. Lyra clutched the blanket tighter, her heart torn between fear and fragile hope. She whispered softly, almost a prayer, "Please, don't leave me." Daniel didn't reply, but he didn't need to. His presence beside her, solid and unshaken, was his answer. The night stretched long, filled with tension. And though they had survived this encounter, the storm was only beginning. A choice of loyalty. The first light of the station's false dawn flickered through broken panels, a pale glow from failing lamps that mimicked morning. Daniel stood already awake, pack on his shoulders, weapon strapped tight. He looked ready to move. Lyra sat against the wall, blanket still around her shoulders. She hadn't slept much. Her mind replayed the sound of the patrol, the way their rifles glowed in the dark. Every step they took had felt like death walking. Now Daniel wanted her to leave with him. Her heart wanted to follow, but her fear held her back. Moving meant risk. Moving meant being seen. Daniel crouched in front of her. His eyes met hers, steady and calm. "We move now," he said firmly. Her lips trembled. "They find me always," he shook his head. "Not if we stay ahead." She looked down at her hands, thin and scarred. "I slow you. You go faster. Alone." Daniel leaned closer, his voice sharp. "I don't leave people behind." Her chest tightened. He spoke those words like an oath, but why? Why risk his life for her? Someone worthless in her own people's eyes. Lyra whispered, "Why me?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "Because you deserve to live." The words hit her like a blow. No one had ever said that before. Not her kin. Not her people. Not anyone. Her throat burned. She wanted to believe. But believing was dangerous still. When Daniel reached out his hand, she stared at it for a long time. His palm was rough, scarred, but steady. Slowly, trembling, she placed her hand in his. He pulled her to her feet gently. "Good," he said. They moved through the ruined halls, Daniel leading, Lyra limping behind him. Every sound made her flinch, the groan of metal, the hiss of steam. She kept expecting patrols to appear. After some distance, they stopped in a storage chamber half buried in dust. Daniel set down his pack and searched for supplies. He found an old ration box, cracked but still usable. He handed it to her. She pushed it back. "No, you," he frowned. "You eat," her chest ached. He had already given her food, water, bandages. And now again, she whispered, No more debt." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Lyra, this isn't debt. This is survival. You live, I live. That's all." Her lips trembled. She wanted to argue, but she saw the truth in his eyes. He wasn't trading. He wasn't bargaining. He was choosing. She ate slowly, watching him check his weapon and listen to the station sounds. He was alert, always ready to fight. She realized he wasn't just protecting her. He was protecting a promise he made long ago. A promise never to let anyone be abandoned again. Her chest filled with warmth she didn't understand. Later, when they rested, she whispered softly, almost afraid of her own words. "Daniel, if danger comes, I stay. You run." He looked at her sharply. "No," she shook her head. "Better you live." "I slow you," his eyes hardened. "You don't get it, do you? You're not a burden. You're not dead weight. You're my responsibility now." Her eyes widened. Responsibility? She had always been something to throw away, to abandon. Now she was something worth carrying. Tears filled her eyes. Why risk? Why protect me? Daniel's gaze softened, but his voice stayed firm. "Because if I don't, then I'm no better than the ones who left me behind. Or the ones who left you." The words tore through her heart. He wasn't just saving her. He was saving himself. Lyra's body shook with silent sobs. She covered her face with her hands. "I don't want to die alone," she whispered. Daniel placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Then don't, stay with me. We fight together." Her tears fell harder. No one had ever said together to her before. Always alone, always abandoned. But now she had a choice. She could keep believing she was worthless, doomed to be hunted until she died. Or she could trust this strange human, trust his scarred hands, his steady eyes, his promise. It was terrifying. But in that moment she chose. She lifted her head, eyes red but determined. "I stay, I fight." "With you?" Daniel gave a small nod, the closest thing to approval. "Good, that's all I ask." For the first time, loyalty sparked inside her. Not out of fear, not out of survival, but out of something deeper. The corridor outside groaned again. Distant voices echoed. The patrols were back, searching. Lyra gripped the edge of the blanket tighter, her heart pounding. Fear was still there, but something new burned with it. If they came, she would not run away. She would stand. Not because she wanted death, but because this human had given her something she thought was gone forever. Worth. Her loyalty was sealed. Fragile, maybe, but real. And as the shadows of the hunters grew closer, her choice was about to be tested. A new bond, the patrol's voices grew louder, echoing through the hollow station like knives scraping metal. Their boots struck the floor with sharp rhythm, closer and closer. Lyra pressed her back to the wall, clutching the blanket tight around her. Her chest rose and fell too fast. Daniel crouched beside her, calm but ready. His eyes stayed on the dark corridor. His hand rested on his weapon, finger steady on the trigger. He had faced death before, but this time he wasn't alone. He leaned close to Lyra, whispering, "Stay behind me." Her heart pounded. For so long she had hidden, run, begged to survive. But now something inside her pushed against the fear. She shook her head.
"No, I fight."
"With you?" Daniel's gaze locked on hers. For a moment he studied her, then gave a small nod. Not approval of a soldier, but respect for someone who had chosen courage. The shadows moved. 3 armored figures entered the chamber, rifles glowing faintly. Their helmets scanned the room, red lights flickering as they searched. "Unregistered life signs detected," one guard hissed. His voice echoed through a metal speaker. "By law, they must be erased." Daniel's jaw clenched. He whispered, "Stay low," then raised his weapon. The first guard stepped forward, rifle aimed, but Daniel fired first. A sharp blast cut through the silence. The guard fell back, armor sparking. The other 2 roared, raising their rifles. Lyra cried out as a shot blasted past her, scorching the wall. Daniel moved fast, pulling her behind a broken crate. Sparks rained down. Her body trembled, fear screaming at her to run. But Daniel's steady voice cut through. "We hold here." Something inside her snapped. She would not run again. Her eyes darted to the ground. A broken metal rod lay nearby. She grabbed it, her hand shaking. She had no gun, no armor, but she had courage. When one guard rushed forward, she leaped from behind the crate, swinging the rod with all her strength. It struck his helmet with a loud crack. The guard staggered. Daniel finished him with a precise shot. The last guard growled, firing wildly. Daniel pulled Lyra down just in time. Energy bolts scorched the air. The guard advanced, steps heavy, rifle aimed at them both. Daniel's weapon clicked, empty. Lyra's heart froze. The guard raised his rifle, voice cold. "Outlaws." And now, Lyra's breath caught. She looked at Daniel. His eyes were steady, fearless. He had accepted death before, but not for her. Her body moved before her mind. She stood, screaming, and hurled the metal rod at the guard. It struck his arm, knocking the rifle's aim off. The shot blasted into the ceiling. Daniel tackled the guard with sudden force, knocking him down. The struggle was fierce, armor against bare hands, but Daniel fought like a man who refused to lose. He wrestled the rifle away, slamming it into the guard's chest. With one final push, the armored figure collapsed, sparks flickering from his suit. Silence fell. Only their ragged breaths remained. Lyra's legs gave out. She collapsed to her knees, shaking, tears streaming down her face. "We, alive," she whispered, almost in disbelief. Daniel stood over the fallen guard, chest heaving, then turned to her. He crouched and lifted her chin gently. "Because we fought together." Her lips trembled. She had been nothing but prey, nothing but a shadow running from death. But tonight she had stood beside him. She had chosen loyalty and survived. Tears spilled freely. Not alone anymore." Daniel gave the faintest smile, small but real. "No, not anymore." He helped her stand. Together they stepped over the fallen guards, leaving behind the echo of battle. Later, in a quiet chamber away from the smoke, Daniel set up a small light and laid out food. Lyra sat across from him, bandaged arm resting on her lap. She stared at the meal, then at him. Her voice was soft, almost afraid to break the moment. "Why keep me? Why not leave?" Daniel's eyes met hers, calm and certain. "Because no one deserves to fight dogs for scraps. Not while I'm here." Her chest ached. The words filled the emptiness inside her, the emptiness that had lived there since her people abandoned her. Slowly, she reached out. Her trembling fingers brushed his hand. "Then I stay with you." Daniel didn't pull away. He squeezed her hand once, firm. And in that moment, something stronger than fear was born. Not just survival, not just death, but a bond, a fragile, precious bond between 2 broken souls who refused to abandon each other. Outside, the station groaned, the galaxy still cruel and dangerous. But for Lyra, the world had changed. She was no longer the outcast fighting beasts alone. She was no longer the girl starving in the shadows. She was Lyra, survivor. And now, she had Daniel. Together, they would face whatever came.